So guys, there's the aspect of taking the car for a test drive. Most people don't really know what to look at. When you're going for a test drive, you need to look at and listen keenly to the sound of the engine. There are so many things that we should be talking about when you're doing the test drive. You need to test your braking system. Ukikanyaga brake, gari inashtuka ama ishtuki. Ikishtuka, kuna quick sounds from the wheels. It may mean that your brake pads are worn out and you need to check that. When you depress the brake, ukikanyaga ndani sana, how does it feel? Is it really going very fast? Ama it's too stiff? Ama you need to check about that. And then when you accelerate, what sounds do you get from the engine? So that is something that people don't really want to listen to. If there is a squeaking sound, especially for these CVT cars, kwanza ni sana. Kuna ikiwa na issue ya gearbox, ukiaccelerate tu kidogo hivi, utasikia ikikanga chiki. Hiyo sound inatoka kwa engine. So you need to do that. And you need to realize that is an important aspect. Actually, when you're also test driving, only that I'm shooting this video, I'm driving. So you need to look at this thing, the gear lever. How you change gears when you're driving. Is it really struggling to pick up? Kwanza, the Nissan itself, I'll really be keen when I'm testing it because I know some of it suffer from the CVT transmission issues. So on the test drive again, you want to ensure that the car really drives quietly as possible, especially just like the hybrids. You know, hybrids hazina sound sana. So yes, the steering wheel, is it really good? Is it really not wobbling the way we said? So do your test drive. How is the suspension of the car? Ukiruka mabumps nini? Is the car balanced? Is it really going on one side? So these are some of the things you really need to do when you're test driving. I'll dedicate just one video for test driving because I can't shoot this and show you, because you know it's not dangerous to use your camera when you're driving. So guys, for me, I think this is something that you can really try and do. So the car drives nicely, the gears are shifting nicely, the engine of the sound is just, the revs are not so fast, because if it is so fast then there's also a problem. The revs are not too slow. Inafaa ikuwe hapo katikati, unasikia? So you need to understand a few things. So yes, what are the lights here? The check engine lights, nini iko hapo, what is on the dashboard when you're driving? Please ensure you check out that before you pay your money. This is not a comprehensive video for actually test driving a car, because I need somebody to shoot me so that I can demonstrate what you need to check properly. This is just an highlight about what you should be checking. So yes, tuko kwa hizi maeneo ya Nyali hapa. Kwanza ukinunuanga Nissan, you need to really do this road test properly, guys, so that you don't really buy a lemon. The reason as to why I'm saying this is because most times, actually, I remember somebody bought this Nissan Note and within no time, ilikuwa ishachapa gearbox. Man, that is very, very bad. So, tumekwama hapa. We'll go to part 3 of the car, whereby we'll be looking at this. So guys, this is the part 2 of this video, and we promised to talk about how you can check the engine or from the front here. How can you tell this car has had an impact before, and what are some of the things that you need to check? By the way, don't get confused with this many arrangement, mechanical aspects. So hizo bushes nini, wires sijui zimefanya nini huko, sijui moja imeenda hivyo. So here we are doing it in a very simple way, just to show you as a potential buyer who may not have knowledge about cars, what you should check at. First, when you approach this car, ukifungua tu bonnet hivi, hii inafaa ifunguke vizuri sana, like this particular bonnet. Na pia you check for this thing, the supporting rod of the bonnet. Hiyo ni muhimu sana. Kuna bonnet zingine zifunguki, ama zikifunguka this rod here is not there. So that's the first thing to check. Also check how easy is it to open the bonnet. So is it closing and opening easily? That's the first thing. Now, any car that has had an impact ama accident, kwanza unafaa uangalie hapa place ya headlight hapo. Unaona hii line? Hapa unapata kama iko replaced, unapata people don't really replace it. To an event that you cannot really detect. Unaangalia hii frame hii headlight hapo. Unakuja hapa, unapata kanati ingine. You see the color of the nut may be different from what came with the car. So if you see a different nut bolt here, that all this frame here for the headlight, chances are this was replaced because the car had a front impact. That's just an example, but these are things which cannot turn you off. Haimanishi sasa ufai kununua gari. I'm just trying to tell you how to detect that. Then this rail here for the radiator, where there is fan here, all of this rail here, that it's in every car, that holds the radiator, hizi vitu zingine zote. You also need to check that if there is any discontinuation of this frame here. And the color of the nuts also, they may not be the same. Maybe ilibadilishwa, maybe this one has been changed. No, these ones are the same. So you run your eyes across this rail here to ensure that it has not been knocked from ama haijagongana na mtu. Like this one is still very, very intact, haijapata front collision. Then another thing that you can check is you come here again. There's the side, this place here. Hii hapo pa miguu hapo, unaona hapo, this check. Usually cars that get accident will have this part here affected, so utapata macracks zimekuwa hapo mostly, but not always. So you want to look at that critically to ensure that it is still intact. And the silicone, this is like silicone, you see this one, this is like silicone that it came in, it is still there and still intact. So the radiator column, this is the most important part. I've told you to check about it, the fan here and everything else to ensure that it's intact. So that is just to check the possibility of front collision, you see. So people can make cars and they can be rectified or they can be restored well. There are people who are really good at that. And please mark my words, I'm not saying that once you are going to buy a car from fellow Kenyan, unasema si ilipata accident, si mbaya, but let them know that they are selling you and you know that you're buying an accident car. Now, another thing that you need to check under the engine is actually, another cost here is this thing here. This is the battery. You need to check the battery. Why? The battery is very, very, very expensive. Kama 7,000 hivi 8,000 depending on the AH, maybe the amperes of the battery, like this 65 AH and a 70. And there's something I wanted to talk about when you're buying batteries in Kenya. I know this is the maintenance free. Most people love it because it is easy to use. Unakuja tu, hakuna kuongeza acid, hakuna kuongeza any maji hapo. It's good, but if you are going to buy maintenance free batteries, I find that buying batteries from chloride exide, the maintenance free from chloride exide don't last long. If you get the flooded battery, I'm talking about batteries like which are mnaongeza acid maji, I mean, they last longer. If you have to buy a maintenance free, maybe you need to do your market research. So make sure that this battery is okay, and the only way you can make sure, if you're a layman, you don't have a mechanic, start the car, drive the car for some time, restart the car again, so that you ensure that the alternator is charging the battery and the battery can start the car effectively. Haya. Another thing now that you can check actually is the fluids. Unajua gari ina run for fluids. And on fluids, we have so many fluids. You can see here, you have a fluid that is ya kuwash, kuna fluid hapa, kuna fluid inamwagwa hapa, kuna fluid hapa ya coolant. So we have quite a number of fluids in the car because this is a CVT, and it has a CVT fluid that has to be added to the transmission to make it functioning. So the obvious one that people will come around. Guys, this video is hard because I'm really shooting it myself. I'm holding the camera. This one is the first thing that you should check, and people, you'll see most Kenyans when they are buying cars, wanakuja wanavuta hii. Unaona, ukishavuta hii ni oil. Unafaa uangalie the color of that particular oil. Not only the color but the level. It should be between the minimum and the maximum, not below this one here. I don't know whether you can see it here. So if somebody has been driving the car on low oil, chances are they are going to damage that car, and you should be moving cautiously before you buy that car. So apart from the level of the oil, this stick, also dipstick, can tell you the quality of the oil inside there, the quality and the state of the engine. This oil should be around this color. It should not be too dark, it should not be too whitish, because if it is whitish, chances are inaweza kuwa inachanganywa na any other thing, maybe water nini, and that one means that your engine needs some attention, and it will really not pay off if you are going to use the car for the longest time. So check the color of oil and check the level of oil when you are checking this. So please make sure that you pay attention to that. Haya, after checking the oil, cha turudishe hiyo. Najua mikono moja ina oil, mikono moja ina oil. Make sure you return that. Then hapa usifungue hapa sana, lakini unaweza fungua kwa sababu unaona hapo imechorwa ni oil bado. Hii ukienda kwa dashboard uone sign kama hii kwa dashboard, inamaanisha ile temperature, oil temperature. Engine inachemka kama kitu kingine, na hiyo temperature haifai kuendeshwa. So juu ni moto sana, unaweza, you see this cap, unaweza fungua. Then ukishafungua, you look at the cap, the nature of oil on the side of the cup. Unafungua hivi alafu hapo ndani the color should be the same as what you saw here on this dipstick here. So if there's a broth like whitish material hapo, inamaanisha hii engine inaweza kuwa it burns oil, ama oil inachanganywa na coolant, ama there's another problem within the combustion that is making this oil actually to look like a whitish precipitate. Kizungu kubwa hapo, nimepiga kizungu kubwa sana, white precipitate. In fact, that is the correct word. So pay attention to the quality of oil and the level of oil. Coolant. The next one is coolant. I don't think you should be checking the reservoir for the coolant. You should be checking the cap of the radiator here. Unaona hapa? Hii ndo inafaa utoe juu, hii ni moto na usifai fungua kama ni moto. Inafaa utoe hii, then from there you can check the color of that coolant and it should be as described by the manufacturer. Sasa hii level, kama unaona level ya coolant, kuna sijui kama unaweza ona hapo, mimi ndo cameraman, lakini unaona hii jug here hapo chini kuna level, siwezi kuonesha, kuna maximum, kuna minimum. So it should be between the minimum and the maximum. So chances are if it is below the minimum, maybe coolant is being consumed or there's a leakage in the cooling system. Also open here and check that color of the coolant. I hope we are together. For the CVT, I think you have to, lazima uiname huko chini, udrain ile nini, ndo uanze kujua kubadilisha CVT oil yako. So the steering fluids, those ones are there. You have to check. Then any other fluid that we are forgetting inside here. Mazee nimechoka, niko na njaa. Hii ni ya kuwash nini? Hii ni ya wiper. Hiyo pia unaweza ongeza, usipige wiper bila kuongeza hiyo. So under the engine, those are the main things. And make sure that everything sits into a proper place. A lot of gaps are not acceptable. Like you see now like Nissan, I think this is the ECU. They have put that one there just to ensure that in case of an accident, the impact is not direct. I can see the ABS module. Is it ABS module? Yeah, inside there. That is okay. Then there are quite a number of wiring stuff that is there. That is none of your business, but just make sure that the car is working, the alternator is charging the battery, the fluids are within the required level, and yes, the car starts. Now you have to go inside. Checking this, you have to go inside, start the car, and listen to the sound of the engine. I'm sorry I can't do that because I'm alone. I have to go back and forth. So that is just not the deepest way to check the engine, because you still need to go under the car. Remember, if you're just going to buy a car very fast, you don't have any knowledge about cars, these simple checks can tell you that the car is good or bad. They may not eliminate the totality of the car being mechanically not worthy of your money. So coolant, transmission fluid, talk about oil, is on the lifeline of any engines. You need to check them. I think under the hood, that is just for the basic person who is going to buy a car. So now the next part, guys, huku penye tuko, wacha niwaoneshe. Hapa tuko Nyali, huku Nyali niko Wadosi, na huku hata ukiangalia kuna kuombana chumvi hapa. Naona tu kila mtu ako na gate, but that's not the issue. Now the next thing that you should be checking at after checking the engine is something we call the catalytic converter. I'm very sorry man, I can't see it, but nikinama hivi unaona hii kitu, hii ni ya kutoa moshi, but ukifuata hii kitu kabisa, unaona hapa, sio hapo, ni pale mbele, there's something called, guys, I'm only yeah, I can see equal. Lazima gari pigwe jeki na iangaliliwe. Ukiona kama imeweldiwa, not this part, the catalytic converter is there. Kuna pali imefura pale mbele, inafaa uangalie uone hiyo catalytic converter. I wish one day I'll be able to show you it properly when tukiinua gari, then tunaweza ipiga jeki. Alafu hapa pia, if you're buying cars from in Mombasa, you need to check rusting.